down south, I'm gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Going down south, I'm gonna leave my woes behind.
Emphasizing joy and people started howling never.
And on up south, I'm gonna see if I can't unwind. Come on down south, I can meet some friends of mine.
Welcome everyone to Global Arts Rewind, your go-to radio show where we dive deep into the artistic movements of the past. Today we're traveling back to 1980s, a time of bold colors, raw emotions, and groundbreaking artistic revolutions. I'm Juanma, your host, and joining me today are our fantastic panelists, Ganda and Alvaro. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Alright, let's jump into it. The 80s were a wild decade for art, with movements like Neo-Expressionism and street art redefining creative expression. First up, Ganda, what do you think was the motivation behind the artwork of this era?
Great question, Juanma. The 80s were all about rebellion and self-expression. Artists like John Michael Basquiat and Keith Haring were challenging societal norms and bringing raw, emotional energy to their work. Basquiat's piece, for example, reflected his experience with race, poverty, and identity. His work had his incredible urgency, almost like graffiti on a city wall screaming for attention.
Absolutely, and let's not forget how consumer culture influenced the art scene. Warhol continued his legacy into the 80s, bright, commercialized images, while artists like Barbara Kruger used text and imagery to critique media and consumerism. The intention was clear, to make people question the world around them. That's fascinating. Now let's break down the artistic elements. What are some key characteristics we can appreciate in the 80s art, Ganda?
Oh, the 80s were visually electrifying. The use of bold colors, exaggerated forms, and chaotic composition was everything. Neo-expressionists like Basquiat and Schnabel used aggressive brushstrokes and raw textures, while street artists like Haring kept things simple with his signature thick outlines and bright primary colors. Shape and contrast were huge aspects. Haring's dancing figures and Basquiat's chaotic layers told the stories through movement and spontaneity.
Yes, and don't forget the postmodernist approach. Artists were blending high and low culture. Graffiti became fine art, comic book aesthetics entered galleries, and pop culture seeped into everything. This mix of techniques made the art of the 80s truly unique and instantly recognizable.
Such a dynamic era. Now let's talk about emotions. What do these artworks transmit to you, Alvaro?
For me, it's pure energy and defiance. There's this raw, almost rebellious feeling in a lot of 80s art. Basquiat's chaotic strokes make me feel like I'm inside his thoughts, messy, urgent, alive. And with Haring, there is this infectious joy, like his figures are dancing across canvas, celebrating life despite hardships.
I feel the same, and emotionally, 80s art still resonates today. It's about identity, activism, and challenging the system, themes that are super relevant even now. The AIDS crisis, racial tensions, consumerism, all of those things artists tackled back then are still issues today.
That brings us to our final point, legacy. How does 80s art impact today's world?
Well, street art is bigger than ever. Banksy, Shepard Fairey, and others owe a lot to Haring and Basquiat. Social activism in art is also booming, with artists using their work to challenge power and spark conversations just like in the 80s.
And aesthetically, we're still obsessed with the 80s. The neon colors, the bold graphics. Think of the vaporwave and synthwave movements in digital art today. The 80s never really left.
Fantastic insights, everyone. The 80s were truly a golden age of art, rebellion, and creativity. And that's all the time we have today. Thanks to our panelists and all of our listeners out there. Stay creative, stay bold, and we will see you next time on Global Arts Rewind. See you next time.
Going down south, I'm gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Going down south, I'm gonna leave my woes behind.
And the fighting going on, people started howling never.
And on up south, I'm gonna see if I can't unwind. Come on down south, I can meet some friends of mine.